In this video, I'll show you how to make the header menu and to style it to look like this. And to style it to look like this. Now so far I've already positioned my header menu or nav, and I've styled the font colors and fonts. Now I can begin adding my menu links. So a good way to create a menu is to actually add the menu as a list, a bulleted list, where each link is one item in the list. Now this may not sound very intuitive, but it actually helps us to style each menu item using CSS. It gives us a lot more control and flexibility, and also helps us to organize our links. So I'm going to insert a bulleted list. My links are drawing, animation, photography, blog, and finally about and contact. So in my design view, I can select my text, and then down in the properties panel, I can click on the bullets icon, and bullets in HTML are called unordered lists. So when I do that, Dreamweaver adds a bullet to my text. My first item is drawing. After drawing, so I've typed out all of my links as a bulleted list. In my HTML code, a bulleted list shows up as a UL or unordered list tag. Each list item appears as an LI or list item tag. So this is what my menu looks like as a bulleted list. Of course, this is not the final look that I want. So now I need to use CSS to change the look. As with everything else, before we can change the look, we need to add a selector. I'm going to make my CSS designer window bigger so I can see my visual designer on the right. Then in my page, I click anywhere in here, click on the UL tag to select it, either here on the bottom or on the right side where it shows me the structure of my page. I click UL, come up here and add a selector. Before that, I make sure that under sources, my style.css is highlighted so that all my styles will go into my CSS file. Now I come down here, add a selector. Now notice what it did. The selector says .container nav ul. This means an unordered list inside a nav or menu inside my container. This selector won't work for me because I have containers in my header, in my section, and in my footer, but I want my menus in each section to look different. I don't want my header menu to look the same as my footer menu. So, .container is not helping me. Instead, I need to replace this with header. Now the selector says an unordered list inside a nav inside my header, and that's the selector that'll work for me. I hit enter, and now I can go on to styling my list. I go up to the text properties, scroll down a little, and here I see some list properties. List style type, none. This gets rid of my bullets. And the next thing is, I want each of these list items to appear in a straight line. Now we know one way to do that. In our header, we used float to stack things up in a line whether it's on the left side or on the right side. So within the list, we can use the float property to make all of these list items stack up in one straight line. And the way to do that is to style the li tag. Right now we're styling the ul tag, which is the complete list. We want to style each list item and tell them to line up on the right side. So I need to add a selector for header nav list item. I'm going to click in my list, then come down here or here and click on the list item. Any list item will do. They will all have the same style. Go up to selectors, click plus, and once again I only want the style to apply to my header menu. So to be specific, I want to add header in front of this selector. So these styles will only apply to list items inside my header nav. Now under properties, I go up to layout. I'm going to go down to the float properties and click float right. Now see what I get. They do become horizontal, but notice that drawing is on the right, followed by animation, photography, blog, and about and contact. So for this float right arrangement, I need to reorder my list so that drawing appears on the left and about and contact appears on the right. I need to reverse the entire order of my list. The easiest way to do that is just to retype it. Since it's only 5 links, it'll be quick. So now I've retyped my links so they appear in the right order. But you notice that they're stuck together. This is easy to fix. We've already seen margin and padding in previous videos, so we can use those properties to space out these links. Question is, where do we apply these properties? We're going to apply them to the list item or li tag, because each of these LIs, each menu item, such as drawing, animation, photography, and so on, needs its margin to separate it from the others. In my CSS properties, I just come up to margin and I'm going to add a left and right margin. Let's try 3 pixels on each side. As you can see, this spaces them out a little bit. I think I need a little more space. So 5 pixels on each side is good. The other thing I want is, in my design, I had all of my text capitalized in my header menu. Of course, I could easily do that by retyping these, but I'm going to show you a CSS trick to capitalize all the text that is selected by this selector. In this case, all of my header menu items. So in the CSS properties under text, we have something called text transform. I'm going to click on uppercase. So as soon as I do that, it changes all of my header menu links to capitals. One more thing that I want is to have these turquoise blue borders between my links. So I'm going to choose the color from here. And back in Dreamweaver, I'm going to assign a border to each of these list items. So again, I'm staying in the same selector, list item, where I added all the margins and everything. So up in my border properties, I'm going to add a right side border My width will be 1 pixel. Style will be solid because I want a solid line, and the color will be this. I just need to add the hash sign in front of it. So look what I get. Each of these list items now has a border. The problem is it sticks to the border. The border sticks to the right side of the link. So I need some space between my right side border and my text. And the way to do this is to add some padding. Just like margin is space outside of an element, padding is space within an element. So when you add a border and you want the border to have some space from the contents, you need padding. I'm going to switch to live view just so you can more clearly see how these look. So as you can see, in live view I can see the actual fonts that I'm using, but again, the right side border is stuck to the text. So I'm going to add some padding on the right side to my list items. So with 5 pixels of padding, I get a little bit of space. Let's add a little more. So 8 pixels of padding gives me much better space here. Now again, in live view it looks like I have some problem here with the right side of my header, but if I save all and I preview in the browser, things are okay. So my header is shaping up. It's looking almost good to go. There are a few things I could change. Now I have a little too much space above my nav. Back in Dreamweaver, I can see that my live views is showing me this space correctly. So what can I do? I'm going to go up to my UL, the bulleted list that I added. I'm going to make sure that there is no space at the top. So I'm going to set my top margin to 0. And as soon as I did that, it got rid of that extra space above my menu. The other thing I need to fix is I don't want a border on the right side of About and Contact, my last link. So to fix this, here's a trick. Right now, all of my list items have the same style. They all have this right side border. But I want to set this one apart from the others. It's special because it does not need a right side border. The way to take any one element and set it apart from the others that are sharing the same style is to give it an ID or a class. So in my HTML code, I've selected this particular list item. I'm going to give it the ID borderless, where I could have given it anything. The name is entirely up to me, but I chose borderless because it makes it clear to me what this ID does. Now, with this list item with an ID of borderless selected, I'm going to go ahead and add a selector for it. So I'm going to leave this selector as it is, or I could simplify it further to say just hash borderless. And now I come up to my border properties, go to my right border, and under style I say none. As soon as I do that, it gets rid of the right side border that was showing up here. Let me show you in the browser. Now I don't have any right side border. I have some extra space on the right side of my menu. I want my menu to line up with the right side of my name. So here's what I'm going to do. I had added a right margin to my menu. So I'm going to clear that just for this right side menu item, the one that says borderless. I also want to reduce the right margin and the right side padding. So back in Dreamweaver, I'm on the borderless selector. Just for this one, I'm going to assign some special styles, which are set the right margin to 0 and set the right side padding to 0. So by getting rid of all the space on the right side, I now get the alignment that I was looking for. Now that I have my header menu styled the way I want, I can actually go ahead and link each of these words. I'm going to switch back to Design View so it makes it easy for me to select the words. So for drawing, I'm going to create a new page later. Right now, I can just give it a link even though I haven't created the page. So I'm going to assign it a dummy link. To link one piece of text like a word to another HTML page, you select the text and then go down to Properties, and under Link, you either type the name or you paste the link or you choose the file that you want to link this to. Right now, I don't have my drawing web page created. So I'm going to assign it a dummy link, and in Dreamweaver or in HTML you can create a dummy link by simply typing hash. Notice as soon as I assigned it a link, the code changed. Dreamweaver added an A tag, which is A for anchor, and that's the tag that we use to create links. And also in the design view, Dreamweaver changed the color and added an underline. We're going to fix that in CSS. For now, I'm going to go to all these other pages and link them. Again, for animation, I don't have my page created yet, so I'll add a dummy link. Same thing for photography and for about and contact. For blog, I actually have a blog, so I'm going to go and link to my blog. Copy my address, and with the word blog selected, I come down to Properties, and under Link, I simply paste it and hit Enter. Now the word blog has been linked to my blog address. So these are my links. Notice that the coloring that I had applied to my header nav text doesn't apply anymore because Dreamweaver, as soon as I assigned a link to each of these, changed the link color to blue, which is the default, and also added the underline. So if I click on the link blog, it opens my blog. If I click on any of these other dummy links, it doesn't go anywhere. So now my next thing to do is to style these links in CSS. To style a link, I'm going to click inside any of these links, and either down here or in the DOM window, I click on the A tag. Any A tag is fine because they're all going to get the same style. And then as usual, I come up and add a selector. As usual, we need to be careful of what selector Dreamweaver creates. Right now, it's created a generic selector that says all links inside all list items inside all unordered lists or bulleted lists. That's not what I want. I want this style only to apply to links in my header nav. Now I know my header nav selector is header nav. So if I want to style all the links inside my header nav, I can write a selector that says header nav A. This means all the links inside the nav inside my header. Now I want these links to have the red color, no underline, and then I'm going to add an effect so when my mouse hovers over the link, something changes. So my header nav A, under my text properties, I'm going to paste that color and of course add the hash in front of it. That changes all my links to red. To get rid of the underline, here's what I do. I go down to text decoration and I say none because I don't want an underline, an overline, or a strike through. I say none. And that gets rid of the underline. So I'm going to save this. So here are my links. Now they've turned red, but they look a little plain. So I want to add a little effect when I hover my mouse over each link. The way to do that is to add a new selector, which is almost the same as this selector, but it adds the word hover. Hover means you mouse over. You hover over the link with your mouse. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to add a new selector and call it header nav A colon hover. This means when I hover over the links inside my header nav, apply these styles. So I'm gonna add the underline here. Under my text properties, under text decoration, I choose underline. I'm gonna show you what that looks like. I'll just switch to live view, and as soon as I hover over my links, an underline appears. I'll save all and preview to show you how this looks in the browser. So I have my mouse over effect or my hover effect going on, and again the dummy links don't do anything, but my blog link works.